Hey y'all, it's Mama Beth. Welcome to Bitchin in the Kitchen, which is very different from my other channel. I have to be pretty fired up to do a Bitchin in the Kitchen. Something's got to have crawled under my skin. And let me tell you, tonight I had to slow down and take some notes because I know I'm gonna get upset. And y'all just try to follow along as best you can. And if I stumble or mumble or start to lose my temper, I'll just try to start it all over again. Okay, I've got my Gatorade beside me and I've got a cup of coffee as well. So hopefully, and I can't ever get a damn Gatorade lid off. There it is. First off, I want to talk to you about a word that I've been using for a long time. I came up with, I think it was like back in the 90s. It's hypocriticizing. Are you hypocriticizing? Are you a hypocriticizer? Okay, and let me tell you how I came up with that. It's from hypocrite, of course, which is a person who pretends to have virtues, morals, or religious beliefs, principles, etc., that he or she does not actually possess, especially a person whose actions belie stated beliefs. Okay? They say one thing and do another. And two, a person who feigns some desirable or publicly approved attitude, especially one whose private life, opinions, or statements belie his or her public statements. So you do one thing in public, showing one face to the public, and then you're just a whole different person behind closed doors. Okay, that's what a hypocrite is. There's a lot of those floating around. Now let's look at criticism. What is a criticizer? What are you doing if you're criticizing somebody? Okay, the act of passing judgment as to the merits of anything, the act of passing severe judgment, censure, fault finding, the art or act of analyzing and evaluate or judging other people, places, things, art, drama, whatever. So I just kind of smashed those words together. You know, like guesstimate, that's one we use a lot now. That came out in the 80s, I think. I don't know. It may come out before, but that was the first time I heard it. So I started using hypocriticizing in about the 90s. And I've heard it come back to me. I don't know if I was the only one that made it up, but I sure as hell have used it a lot. Now, and I warn you, there will be an F-bomb or two coming through you. Hey, Patrick. Okay. I'm going to talk about some things that I've experienced with people who were hypocriticizers. Okay. When I was a senior in high school, I was in the greenhouse, and I was there with several of my friends, all girls. We all smoked, and you know, you couldn't, they had just quit allowing you to smoke in high school when I was in like the 10th grade. Well, this was 12th grade, and I already smoked. You know, my mom knew I smoked. We'd already gone through all that. And so I happened to be the one with the cigarette in my hand right when the teacher came in, and I flung it out the vent, of course, but he said, "You're gonna have," whose was it? And I didn't tell. I clammed up. I'm no snitch. But he takes me to the principal's office. Now, I'm not going to say her name, but I have known her since I was probably 5, 6 years old. She smokes like a damn freight train, okay? Or she did then. Her whole office smelled like smoke. Before I ever smoked, when I would go in there, I was like, ugh, she smokes in here. And they weren't supposed to smoke in there. They were supposed to smoke in the teacher's lounge or outside in the smoking area. That was in the earlier years before they shut it all down. Anyway, so I knew she was a smoker, and I came in and sat down in her office, and she said, "You got caught smoking?" And I said, "Yes, I did. My parents know I smoke," or Mom did. And she proceeds to lecture me on how bad smoking is for you, and that I should be ashamed of myself for smoking, that it was an embarrassment to my parents and all this stuff. I said, and it went on for a good while. I said, "You know what? You got a lot of nerve." I said, "If you want to come up here, have me come up here and you punish me, that's one thing. But don't sit there and act like you're holier than thou. And I know you smoke like a freight train. You chain smoke." I said, "I've seen you do it," because we were in the same country club, so they'd be at the pool or whatever. And she'd be just one after another. People commented on it. And I was like, you know, you're being a real hypocrite. But she wasn't just being a hypocrite. She was being a criticizer. She was like, "Your behavior has just changed," and blah, blah, blah. I was a good kid. I never got in any trouble. I never went to jail. Never got arrested. None of that shit. I was really shocked that she had the nerve to say that. And let me tell you, when I got home, and I said, "Well, I got I got suspended for 3 days, and it's not in school." Mom said, "What'd you do?" And I said, "I got caught smoking with other girls." She said, "I got caught smoking in high school too and got in trouble for it." She said, "I'm not going to punish you for something that I did. Just don't do it again." And I said, "Okay, I won't." And I had all my homework for 3 days, and you know what? I smoked the whole damn time I did it. And I was mad. Every puff I take, I think of the principle, and I think, this is for you. Now, I know that smoking's bad for you, but if you think I'm going to sit up here and lecture somebody for smoking, you got another thing coming. You don't know me very well, because I have been down that road and I have had to quit. You know what? We all know it's bad for you, but it's bullshit to think it's good for you anymore. We know better than that. So that pissed me off. I got to stop and take a drink because my mouth's getting dry. The matter I get, dry my mouth. Okay, the second kind of hypocriticizers that I can't stand. These are the people, now, y'all know I'm Christian. I don't go physically to church every Sunday, but I do my Bible study. And yeah, I'm probably not the model of Christian womanhood when I'm sitting here and I'm letting language fly out, but we all have our times. But let me tell you something. I try to live my Christianity every day. Whether I make it to the church or not, I still am the same person, and I still try to follow by those morals and ethics that as a Christian I believe in, okay? Whatever you believe in, you believe in. But if you go to church every Sunday, and then as soon as you get out and you're on the way to wherever, to some restaurant, you know, or Wendy's or Shoney's or Ponderosa or the buffet or wherever you're going, and the whole way there, you're talking about people who don't come to church. Well, you never see so-and-so in there. Well, you know they've done this in their life, and you know that they're doing that. They just really need to be a better parent, and they need to be a better Christian. You know what? Judge not, lest ye be judged. How about remember that? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And the Bible talks about gossip all the way through. Okay? And it's speaking with a forked tongue is the equivalent of gossip. And I could go through and quote your Bible verses one after another if I wanted to go through and write them down. But let me tell you, the Bible talks more about that than it does homosexuality, than it does about, well, not murder, but gossip is right up there, you know, it could have been included in the 10 Commandments. It pisses me off when people who are like, oh, you know, those 7 verses in the Bible say that being gay is wrong. But they're sitting there running their yaps and gossiping and you know when to be a liar and all this stuff. They're passing judgment and they're being critical of other people when they themselves are doing things wrong. So shut up with that. Quit being a hypocriticizers, going to church and acting like everything's all forgiven and done. Listen, if you accept Jesus into your heart, the Bible says that's the only way to come through him. You know, through my son, you come to the Lord. That's through salvation. And I'm getting tongue-tied right now because I'm so mad. But this just infuriates me. They go to church every Sunday, but they talk about everybody else and they judge everybody else. And they're critical of everybody else. Stop it. Stop being a hypocriticizers. All right, next one. This is on the subject still of religion. Remember in the 90s when they started that promise ring? The ring thing, the silver ring thing? Well, let me tell you why they started that. It was under the Bush administration, and they were trying to get the abstinence policy. The only sexual education children would get would be total abstinence, full abstinence. Well, now we know that that doesn't work. You have to give children a full sex education, complete with birth control options, things like that. Because kids screw up too. And let me tell you, I tried to talk my daughter. We talked all the time about sex. We talked about drugs and the dangers thereof, you know, but at the same time that I was preaching, you know, chastity and abstinence, I was making sure that there were always condoms in her purse. And you know what? She ended up giving them to a lot of her friends that were sexually active because she'd say, listen, my mom makes sure that we have all of these. Hell, I had a bowl full of them just for her. I wasn't even seeing anybody. I wasn't dating anybody at the time that she was in her mid-teens until I met my husband. And, you know, it baffles my mind that people still think that the teaching of abstinence only and putting a purity ring on a girl at 16, like they usually do it about between 16 and 17. Let me tell you what studies have found. Does it slow girls and boys down from having sex? Absolutely not. Doesn't have one bit of an effect. But you know what it does affect? The young people who were taught abstinence-only sex education were never given an education about birth control and condom use and the pill, the IUD, the Mirena IUD, all the different things, and as well as sexually transmitted disease and the choice of abstinence as well. The ones who didn't learn about full comprehensive sex education, those kids were 10% less likely to use condoms or any form of birth control. You know what that means? 10% were wide open to get sexually transmitted diseases. Okay, both groups, both those that had taken the purity pledge and those who hadn't, they had the same, it was an average of 3 partners by age 21, and they all started at the same time. The average age that they all started was, I believe it was 17, but it may be 18. But let me tell you this too, the ones who had the purity rings on, they were more likely to engage, instead of vaginal intercourse, anal and oral. You know what? You can get STDs from that too. And if you don't think you can get pregnant by an oops, ask Catholic, okay? The pull out, all of that. If you get sperm in your vagina, you can get pregnant if that little swimmer gets up in there. It only takes one, and there's millions and billions and billions in a teaspoon, okay? So kids who don't know don't have the option to protect themselves from HIV, STDs, and pregnancy. Pregnancy is not the worst thing that comes from sex. Oh no, not at all. HIV, chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis, the list goes on and on and on. That is what we need to protect our kids from. Not worry about having sex. You need to be talking to your kids about all of this and educating them. And if you don't want it done in the school, then do it in your home. But make sure your kids know what the hell they're doing if they do decide to do it, that they protect themselves. Drives me crazy. And then those same parents who put the purity rings on, and the kids are wandering around. By the way, did you know a lot of bullying occurred because of the promise rings? Oh yeah, the ones who had the promise rings on, they'd say, I'm a bride of Christ. No, you're not. The church is the bride of Christ. It teaches that in the Bible, that the church is the bride of Christ, and you as a member or within the group are a part of the bride, okay? Jesus is not your boyfriend, all right? Can we all get that through their heads? But yet those girls and the boys, which it was kind of, most of the boys said that they were uncomfortable. They would wear the purity rings, but the whole idea of being married, you know, or being committed to Jesus before they got married to a wife was a little untenable for them. They didn't feel really right. So you need to teach them that, you know, it's abstinence and it's a choice. And if you want to make that pledge, fine and dandy. But those kids were found to be bullying the kids who weren't wearing the rings and didn't take the pledge. And that's wrong. And there have been all sorts of studies on it. And I'm not going to go into that because otherwise we'll be here for an hour and a half. Because you know when I get going on a roll, I'll start spitting facts and start reading notes, and then it's all shot to hell. All right. People who blame the girl instead of the boy when the girl comes up pregnant, and then have the nerve to call her a slut, a whore, a loose girl, tell her she should have kept her knees together and she wouldn't gotten pregnant. Bullshit. You ever had sex with your knees together? I have. I bet a lot of you have. You know? And it takes 2 to tango. It's not always up to the girl to say no. Boys can be taught to say no too. Or wait. Wait until we're older. Wait until I'm ready. But if a girl turns up pregnant, it's both of them that did it. So don't go around saying, well, boys will be boys. You know, he was a fine young man till he met her. And this happened and it's ruined his life. Well, what the hell do you think it's done to her? And why is she any worse than he is when they both committed the same act? It's bullshit. And the people who talk about the girls like that are hypocriticizers, because most of them had kids out of wedlock. The ones that I hear talking that way. And oh, don't think that I don't have groups of friends or I don't go to events and people talk about these things. They'll say, the girls today are just so loose. And I'm like, how old were you when you got married? Didn't you get married at 16 because you got knocked up in the 10th grade and had to go get your GED? Why are you saying these girls are any worse? And it's not them, it's the boys just as well. Well, I've changed my ways. Well, good, you changed your ways. Give them a chance too. Hypocriticizing. All right. Saying you're body positive. Now, everybody's like, oh, I don't fat shame people. I'm body positive. I don't comment on others' looks. You know, that's not what to do. That's a form of bullying, and I just don't partake in it. And then as soon as you get mad, you start calling this one a fat whore, this one a fat ass, and that one a heifer, and all this other stuff. And by the way, heifer means something completely different. If y'all think heifer means fat, it doesn't. It means a big, lazy, docile animal who does nothing but stand there and chew their cud and graze and, you know, be milked. Okay, that's what a heifer is. You know, a heifer's fresh. She hasn't been bred yet, excuse me, but she does nothing. She's worthless until she actually has a baby, or she goes to the to the slaughterhouse. So when you're calling someone a heifer, you're calling them basically dumb and useless. I get real tired of seeing that one thrown around. Fat heifer. Shut up. And have you noticed the ones that say that are usually overweight themselves? I'm overweight. I've been dieting and going through all this stuff for 2 years now. And you're not going to find me calling anybody fat. I might call you ugly if you call me ugly. You know, if you're acting ugly. But I'm not going to comment on somebody's appearance. There are all sorts of people in this world, and we're all made in God's image. So if you're insulting somebody else, you're insulting God. Just look at it that way. For all you people who say, oh, I'm such a good person, I'm all moral and everything, and then you're sitting there going, my God, she's fat. Why didn't she do something to that hair? Why didn't she? Her face is just shaped wrong, blah, 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 blah. And you're all critical about them, and then you go look in the mirror and you don't see what everybody else sees. You're fat too, and you don't, let me tell you, the amount of supermodels that would be out there right now, if everybody who called somebody else fat and commented on their looks was a supermodel, we'd be overrun with all these fucking supermodels. There's the F-bomb. The people who call you that do so because they either don't have anything else to say in an argument, or they feel it themselves and they're taking their misery out on you. They eat, they're shoving their faces with Debbie cakes and God knows what. That's how they got overweight. And then they're calling you overweight or somebody else overweight. It's hypocriticizing, and it's bullshit. All right. And by the way, even if you're not fat, you may have other things wrong with you that people could pick on you for physically, you know, so don't do it. You know, you may have a pretty face, but you may not keep it for long, because let me tell you, beauty on the inside lasts longer than the beauty on the outside. Ask anybody that's over the age of 60 and doesn't have an excellent plastic surgeon. So shut up about fat shaming and body shaming other people. It's bullshit. Hypocriticizing. All right. This gets brought up. Oh my Lord, I'm going to have to take my sip. Sorry, my phone's blowing up. Twitter and YouTube been blowing up all day long. There's been massive fights going on, and of course, you know, I watched it. I had to get in on it because I find it interesting, and I like a lot of the people who are in there I consider friends, and I want to know what's going on, because a lot of times it gets rough and it gets serious. But talking about YouTube videos, all right, this came up today, talking about kids. Kids should never be brought up. Don't bring up anybody's children. Don't talk about the children. Yet they talk about other people's children. They sure as hell do. They use it for children who have mental disabilities or handicaps. They use the word retard, okay? You hear it all the time. If you've got a kid that's got a disability, you don't use that word, okay? Because if you've got, say, a child with autism or ADHD or ADD or ODD, you know, you've got a handful on your hands, and your genes contributed to that. So maybe before you criticize a child who's out here maybe acting up, and you know, maybe when you're on live stream or you're on the phone with somebody, maybe that kid is starting to show the butt and you have to get on them. You know, and sometimes as parents, let me tell you, sometimes as parents we lose our temper. I try real hard to watch my language around my daughter, but if you don't think I've told her at age 26 to shut the fuck up, and she's told me the same thing, and I've wanted to jerk a knot in her tail too. She'll tell you that. She's come back at me once or twice like that, and I've been like, oh no, not to mama. But you know what? When I tell her shut the fuck up, she's a 26-year-old adult, all right? So sue me. You think I didn't screw up raising her? I had times that I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Then I had times I thought I had it pretty well in hand. But kids don't come with instruction manuals. And anybody that says, oh, they're just a terrible parent, you know, those kids are just out of control, and they're openly talking about it, bullshit. You're a hypocriticizer. You're a hypocrite, and you're being critical of that person. You're a hypocriticizer. You say one thing, don't talk about the children, then go do it. And I've seen you do it. Okay? I've seen all of you who say, oh, don't talk about the children. Don't talk about my children. Don't bring my children into this. I've seen you talk shit about everybody else's kids. And if you don't think I have, you're full of it. You're delusional, and you need to go get help. All right? And then talking about people's parenting skills. Nobody's a perfect parent. All right? You're not. I wasn't. You know, the person down the road who has 10 kids or the person up the road who's got 2. We're all trying to do the best we can. All right? Nobody gets it 100%. Nobody. All right? Your kid's just as screwed up as everybody else's is. Maybe a little more so, maybe a little bit less. But no kids are perfect, and no parents are perfect. And the way we handle our children is not always 100% correct. We screw up. If you think I haven't done things, you know, when working with my child and, you know, parenting, working too much. I used to work all the time. I had to work, you know, 2 and 3 jobs at one point to be with her. And I think maybe I should have done something different. Maybe, you know, looked harder for another job. I have a lot of guilt about that I was away from her when she was young. You know, I got to where I could take her to work with me. You know, but when she was about 4, I couldn't do that at the time. And then I got to where I could bring her in sometimes. But you start criticizing someone's parenting skills, you better turn the mirror on yourself. You know, when you're pointing at someone else, they say you got 3 fingers pointing back at you. When you're pointing at somebody else, and that's the truth. So you need to look at what you're saying about other people. Don't criticize other people's parenting, and don't say, oh, don't criticize my parenting. You're attacking my parenting, when you go around and do the same thing. Okay, because everybody that's complained and said, don't come for my kids, don't come for my parenting, all of this, they've done the exact same thing back to other people. Let's just look at what's going on right now with all these different drama channels. They're all busting each other for other stuff. And by the way, Katie never said that Ron was a bad parent. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, then don't worry about it. But I was there the whole time. God knows. It was one of the longest streams I think I've ever been in. And then him going off and her going off. She never criticized his children. She criticized his online behavior in criticizing someone else's child and their parenting skills. Okay, that's what she was angry about. She was basically telling him, you know, you're being a hypocriticizer. Okay? So, let's not go there. Stop it. Okay. There's a bunch of channels out there who are all about anti-drug, anti-vice, recovering addicts, people who have been really addicted to different drugs, and they make a channel and they come on and, you know, it seems like they start out good at first. Now, there are some that stay good and they try to stay positive, but some of these people, you know, start telling each other, you know, oh, you just need a needle in the arm, or start accusing other people of being on drugs. And you know what turns out? They're usually back relapsing. We find out a little bit later, you know, that they've been smoking meth in, you know, the other room, or, you know, they're trading pills and mailing pills and all this stuff. And no, I'm not talking about Suboxone. I'm talking about other stuff, okay? And if you don't think it happens, well, let me tell you, it does. I've heard from the mouths of people who've seen it, and I've heard from the mouths of people who have received it. And I'm like, you're a recovering addict. Why would you do that? And why do you even have these pills if you're in recovery? Oh, well, you know, I don't take them. I just take them when I need them and blah, blah, blah. If you're an addict, you don't take them at all. And you don't sit there and drink either. Okay, if you're about anti-drugs and anti, you know, any kind of vice like that, you better hold yourself up to a standard, and don't criticize others who are going through the struggle of recovery, who are starting on the journey that maybe you're a little farther on, or maybe you're not. Maybe you just see the shit that they're doing and that they're struggling with and going, ooh, I'm back there too. I better say they're a bad person, or people are going to think I'm just like them. Okay? Now, watch how you do the anti-drug stuff. One of the best people I know on the internet, one of the sweetest people, Randy. She is very much about recovery. And B is too. They're 2 wonderful people. But you don't hear them saying, so-and-so is a drug addict, so-and-so is just a big old addict. Those are 2 of the people that I don't hear say it. I hear other people say it and claim to be, you know, about helping get past drug abuse and all this shit. Let me tell you, if you're going to talk the talk, walk the walk. Otherwise, you're just a hypocriticizer. All right. I'm going to talk about her again because she is the most well-known subject of the anti-bullying channel when she's an actual bully. Truthfully, Trisha. And I hate to say it, but, you know, she is so guilty of this, there is no better There is no better channel that, or person on YouTube making content in daily live streams 2 and 3 times a day that says she's all about, oh, I'm trying to help people and I'm teaching people about, you know, don't commit suicide, and it's about being positive all the time, being positive. And then you turn around and she starts, you know, insulting people in her chat and bullying them, and she's bullied people not only into suicide but suicidal attempts. She has harassed people. She has, you know, stalked them. In fact, 25th, she goes to court. We all know that. We've heard that on, I think, every channel, and, you know, from Dr. Phil along, it has been a rodeo with her. But she has bullied people and bullied, and all she ever cries out is, I'm being bullied, I'm being harassed, I'm being stalked. No, we all saw you stalking Crystal. We have seen everything that you have said and done, and it doesn't matter if you delete your live streams. We remember, and a lot of people have downloaded them, okay? So, Trisha is a big old hypocriticizer. She talks about people and, you know, harasses and bullies them, and then claims to be the victim of bullying herself until those people actually start getting mad and come after her. You know, then, you know, hey, you run your mouth, sometimes you get it shut for you. They're going to come after you. Don't incite them. Don't pretend to be something that you're not, because that's being a hypocriticizer. If you're going, oh, they're just a bully and they do this and they do that and the other. If someone is bullying you, one of the biggest lessons that I've learned is don't give them any airtime. Screw them. Don't give a shit about them. She can't do that though. Trisha runs that yap. Keeps on and on and on until somebody fights back, or people come at her and say, you know what, you need to stop this. Or she gets charged for cyberbullying or harassment or stalking or whatever. All right. Saying you're in a loving relationship and that you're faithful and that your marriage is perfect. Oh, how many people do we see do that? Now, I love my husband. I consider him my soulmate. I wish I'd have met him when I was younger so we could have been together longer. I think the sun sets in him. But if you don't think I get mad at him and we don't have fights, our fights usually don't last too long. But if you think we're all, woo, perfection all the way through, you need to look again, because there's times that I've been so mad at him I was ready to cry in anger. And it takes a lot to make me cry in anger. There have been times when he's been so pissed off at me that he had to go for a walk or drive in his truck. One time he went all the way to the next county, and I called him on the phone. I said, okay, please come back. I'm sorry. And he said, I'm sorry too, and he came back. But no relationship's perfect. Absolutely none. So if you're on here saying, oh, my relationship is just beautiful and I would never do this, never do that, let me tell you, it's the ones who talk the most about never straying from your marriage or be tempted. Those are the ones that usually screwing around. You ever notice that? The ones who are calling names and saying, oh, she's just a tramp, she's running outside of the marriage and all that. They think they recognize that in somebody else because they've done it themselves, okay? You accuse people of crimes that you're guilty of. And if you don't think I haven't been a hypocriticizer, then you don't know me. All right? Because I've done the exact same thing I'm talking about. I've tried to learn from it, and I try not to do it. That's the difference. All right? If you keep on repeating the same bad behavior, you're going to eventually go down, 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 down until you're just an asshole. And what is one of my favorite hashtags? Hashtag don't be an asshole. All right? That's one of my favorite ones, and that's what I'm going to use all year. Maybe I'll put it on a t-shirt. But, you know, if you're constantly judging other people's relationships, their husband does this, and, you know, their wife does that, and we would never do that to one another, and we just never have any problems, and, you know, everything's, you know, we're in, you know, we're at the, I don't know, Munchland or whatever, you know, it's like the Wizard of Oz. Everything's gorgeous in the beginning. Well, let me tell you, there's a wicked witch around the corner somewhere, and that's you, whether you're male or female, and it's going to pop up. So don't be trying to act holier than thou and criticize other people's marriages and relationships and just being ugly about it, because we know that you're talking about the stuff you're guilty of in your own relationship. All right. I'm really tired of everybody calling people a pedophile with no proof. None. Have I seen proof of Shane Dawson, Peter Mon, Miss Fucking Wonderful? Let's see, who else? There's been a slew of them. Shane Dawson really got me. That really, him and Peter, that just really upset me. But everybody's slaying that word around. Oh, they're a pedophile, they're a pedophile, they're a pedophile. But they don't have any truth unless you're John Cooking and you're manufacturing receipts. All right? You don't tell people that, oh, they're this or they're that, they're a pedophile. You need to watch. You know, you can't do that. Okay? And let me tell you, if you're thinking that much about pedophilia, what are those thoughts doing up there? What's that tell you? Huh? John Cooking's been accusing everybody. Sanders Kennedy, Thomas Halbert, here for the tea. He accused her of withholding information. Yet John's the one that's doing all the accusing, right? So what do you think he's got on his mind all the time? I'm just saying. You accuse people of the sins that you know you're guilty of and you've yet to repent and change from. All right. Also, quit calling people racists. That's the biggest bullshit. Let me tell you. I saw a stream where they were going, oh, she said the N-word. She said the N-word. Well, the woman that ran the stream is well known for bragging about being from the ghetto, bragging about her ghetto speech and her language. And both these women use foul language. They use it worse than I ever do in any of these bitching in the kitchens. But let me tell you what. The one who was accusing the other one, she claims to be so ghetto and all this, but she uses slang phrases in what we would call a black sense. And, you know, because it was called ebonics, but now, from what I read, people call it a black sense. And I hope that's PC enough for everybody. But if you're sitting around here and you talking like this, and yeah, Lord, come on down here. We'll just give us a good ass kicking. That's all you need. Just roll your ass down here, you fat heifer, and all that shit. You know. What the hell? What the absolute hell? You don't speak like that normally. We saw live streams with your husband in them that you didn't sound anything like that. You sounded like just your regular Southern average person. The person who used the N-word to you, I don't condone the use of the N-word at all. There's lots of words that I don't say. I don't use the F-word pertaining to homosexuals. I don't use the N-word at all. There's a bunch of words that I don't put in my vocabulary. The R-word that's used for mentally handicapped. But if you're sitting there and you're talking about somebody and they come in and they say, oh, you did this and you said that and you said the other and you're a racist, and they come back and call you N-I-G-G-A when you've been calling them every name in the book and they're mad and you sound like, you know, something you're not. You sound like you're a person of color and you're not, then shut up. You're a hypocriticizer. Just like if you're fat and you call somebody else fat, or you're making fun of other people's kids and your kids are screwed up too. Just stop this, okay? Now, if you want to do commentary, by all means, do it. Talk, discuss, find a subject, make some content, all right? If you want to talk about the fact that someone has conned somebody out of money, and that's going around a lot right now. And I hesitated to do a live stream today. Well, first off, I was watching streams for so long, but so I am having to be really careful and make sure that I show every receipt, and I will, and show exactly what we buy for the animal shelter, because that's where all of my money is going, okay? YouTube is a side hobby for me. I do it in the evenings after we've eaten dinner, sometimes at night when I can't sleep. I'll come and film a video. Y'all never know. I've got my laundry going right here. All I have to do is slip a top on, you know, put a little lipstick on. I'm all right. I'm good to go. But, you know, this whole racism thing, you can't say anything to anyone without them bringing up a race card. And let me tell you, all sorts of people are discriminated against around the world. All right? White farmers are being murdered in South Africa. You know? Black youth here are being executed by the police. It was one the other day. Like to break my heart. They were in juvenile court at the time. Now, you tell me how a child that was maybe 15, wasn't that big, overtook 2 officers and ended up getting shot. There's something wrong with that. But this whole thing of they're racist and I'm not, and they're racist and I'm not. If you're using these words and you're using that hate speech, then own it. Own it. I've seen people who have vilified people for saying things wrong or not politically correct, or using the N-word with the A on an N instead of the hard R. I've heard them use the hard R in chats. All right, I've heard them say it. I've seen them write it. I have seen racism from a lot of people who cry racism when their enemies or the people that they don't like are getting the better of them in an argument. I had somebody come on my comment section and go, how do you endorse her for using this in a chat? I'm like, I wasn't in that chat. I didn't see it happen. And I wasn't in her chat either because I've got shit to do. And I'm not anybody's mother on there in that argument. Let them battle it out. But what I will say is if two grown women can't settle it themselves, I damn sure not going to get in the middle of it. If you see two bulldozers coming at each other, you're going to get in the way and think you can stop it? Hell no. Both of these women have plenty of armies behind them. They have plenty of subs. And, you know, yes, I'm a fan and a friend of one. But, you know, she doesn't need me to tell her what to do. Nobody needs to think that they can police other people, all right? Now, you can call out if there is illegal activity, if things are being done wrong, and you have a point to it. But don't be doing shit yourself and then going off on somebody else for doing the very same thing and acting like you're holier than thou and picking them apart. Hypocriticizing. Hypocriticizing. If you're a hypocritizizer, stay the hell away from me. I don't want to be around you. And that's why I don't go into people's streams. That's why there's a lot of people that I just don't mess with. I've blocked them because they're hypocriticizers. They talk about, oh, you don't have any loyalty to this channel, because apparently drama channels are now like countries. They need their own flags and they need their own citizens, and you have to be loyal or you'll get called treasonous, you know, and get imprisoned. Yeah, I stayed neutral in the transatlantic beauty wars that were going on. That's just what I'm going to call it. And I said, you know what? I'm staying the hell out of it. Yet one person's, I guess they're her diehard stands, as they call it, they all decided that when I started having issues with someone, that through no fault of my own, honestly, that they were going to turn on me because I sided, or they thought I sided with someone else completely, and then I endorsed their behavior. And it was really stupid, but I'm like, you've been kissing my ass and sucking up to me and being in my DMs for how long, how many months? Saying, oh, you're this, and I just love you, and you're my friend, and, you know, and I really think the world of you, and all this stuff. Hey, girl, do this and that and the other. And then behind my back, they're talking about me and trying to rip me apart. And if you don't think I don't see the screenshots, because you know what? All of you that were doing it to me sent me screenshots of the other people. I have almost all of the context and all the conversations that went on. Because you're stupid. Because you're two-faced. And I can say that because I'm not a two-faced person. When I found out what was going on and that y'all weren't real, I blocked every one of you. I went on a massive blocking spree. I was like, that one's gone, that one's gone, that one's gone, that one's gone. And if they want to come on this channel and leave dirty comments or leave nasty shit at the bottom, don't bother, because I'm fucking erasing them. If you don't have something decent to say or a point to make that adds to this bitching in the kitchen, you can get the fuck off my channel. Okay? If you don't like what I say, don't fucking watch. If you don't think that I'm a therapist or I don't have, you know, my degrees or whatever, and you're questioning that, fuck you. You know, I don't care. Doesn't matter. I know what I am. My husband knows what I am. The people who count, who pay my bills, if they don't feed you, finance you, or fuck you, fuck them. And that's what I have to say to all the two-faced people that I have recently gotten out of my social media experience. And the last thing I want to say is, I sit here in my kitchen. This is my house. My house. My husband and I, we own this house. Okay, it's 4 stories. 4-story house. Okay, when we moved in, this kitchen was done. This kitchen is huge. It goes into a dining room. I have 2 master suites, en suite. Okay, both of them. And then I have 2 guest rooms. I have an office. I have a formal living room upstairs and a den as well. Okay, I have 3 balconies. All right, it's a beautiful home, and we own it. All right, are we going to do renovations? Yeah, we're working on it now. We did the landscaping first. We're still have a little more to do because the weather caught us. But you know what? The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to redo our floors in here, and we're going to redo the kitchen. I cannot wait. I've got lists of things that I want to change in my kitchen. But don't go and say, oh, your kitchen looks janky. You know what? Show us your fucking kitchen. And then Somebody took me up on that offer. And then when I looked at it, I had to laugh because, first of all, they're a basement dweller. They're in their 20s and they have no job, no source of income. All they do is whine, and now they've been blocked everywhere on the internet. And I don't give a shit if they find out that I'm talking about it. But yeah, they made a little video, a little Snapchat video showing their parents' kitchen and opening the nearly empty cabinets and showing cereal. See, we got food, and a Walmart type spice rack, and it was pathetic. It looked like that kitchen needs to be redone like 50 years ago. Yeah, mine's an 80s kitchen, honey, but everything in it works, and it's mine. I own it. Mommy and Daddy didn't pay for shit on this. I didn't ask for any money. My husband and I did this. All right, it's ours. Don't go showing your mommy and your daddy's kitchen or your mommy and daddy's backyard and bragging about it. And oh, look, we try to have class and it's such a nice area and blah, 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 blah. And try to throw off all my shit because I don't care. I love my kitchen and I don't give a fuck what you've got. Especially when it's not yours. It's your mommy and your daddy's. All right? So that's it. Don't be a hypocriticizer. And, you know, I've had it up to here. All right, I've had it, and I love when people underestimate me. So you go, if you're one of the ones that is thinking you're getting something over, you keep on thinking that. Keep on, because I'm real good to people who are friends to me. Whoever's good to me, I'm good to. But let me tell you, one time, first time, shame on you. Second time, shame on me. Doesn't take me long. I figure things out, and I'll give you enough rope to hang yourself. And I think that's the way everybody should do, you know? But I try to do it in my life. I'm not going to say so-and-so did this and so-and-so does that, and I'm not going to name names. I'm just saying that if I sat here and said that I wasn't a hypocriticizer, if I wasn't at times hypocritical, you know, without necessarily realizing it even, or being overly critical to the same subject, being a hypocriticizer, you know, I'm trying to change. But what I'm asking for is for people who are watching this video to maybe take a look inside. You know, you can look around you and see who you're surrounded by and what you're surrounded by, but you better look inside yourself because you're the one that controls you, nobody else. Nobody else tells you what to do. You make the final decision, whether it's putting a nude up. Yeah, nudes floating around. You think I don't get them too? Oh yeah, people are like, look at this. Or they'll put it on Twitter, they'll post it because they found it where you put it somewhere else. I'm honestly, I don't want any more nudes. You know, quit putting your damn nudes up there when you know your children and your grandchildren and God knows your great-grandchildren are probably going to find it and they'll go, God, what was Granny doing? You know? But at the same time, if you've got nudes floating on the internet, don't be talking shit about somebody who got caught with their nudes, all right? So all I'm saying is, do unto others as you would have done unto you. Forgive, and don't be a gossip. Don't gossip and make shit up or deny things that have happened that we have all watched. You know, if you're trying to say that, you know, you're so in control and, you know, you're so great, then you shouldn't be manic and doing stuff like exposing yourself or looking like you're going to commit a violent act, or in a rage screaming so bad that your kid hears it from the next room, or you know, you're on there making an ass out of yourself because you're so out of control. Maybe it's time to shut off. Maybe it's time to calm down. Now, when I come on these bitches in the kitchen, I'm hot today. I tell you, I've had it, but I'm not manic. If you're manic on the internet and showing your ass, literally, then maybe it's time to unplug, you know? If you're on there and you're upset and you're talking about the situation, but you still have control of yourself. And even if you know, when I get mad, I sometimes trip over my words. You know, we all get so mad that we shake sometimes, but you don't see me flopping around my kitchen. You don't see me getting up and showing things off and that shouldn't be seen on the internet, and I don't want to see them on my playback, and I'm sure you don't want to see it either. All right, that's enough of this. I've gotten it all off my chest. I feel much better about it. We'll say this is my video therapy session since everybody seems to be using the YouTube as therapy, which is bullshit. As a therapist, go to the office, all right? Now, I love you. You love you. Don't be a hypocriticizer. Bye.